So I've actually been a photographer for a really long time, and I just love going outside, taking some photos. It's actually been a dream of mine to do something like this channel where I actually go out and play with cameras pretty much on a daily basis. Going further into it, what we're going to be doing today is going over some of the photos that I've taken recently and over the course of the last couple of years as to kind of my thought process when it came to taking the photos. Today I'm actually going to be showing you my favourite street photo that I have actually ever taken. However, we're going to get started with a few of the photos that I've taken recently and over the course of the last year, and this is all kind of spurred off of going to try out the X-M5, which is a camera that I actually really did enjoy using. What happened was Fuji invited me to go up to London to check out some of the new releases and have a go with the X-M5 over the course of this week. And wow, I thought it'd be a cool idea to go over street photography in general and things that I, could do in the future for you guys. Maybe get some hints and tips and see a little bit more on my crazy little mind. So let's get into it. This is the first photo here. It is of the Angel Hotel in Cardiff. I do really like it. However, I did actually move the bird from over here to give it a more central kind of like view with the leading lines coming off the building this way and that way. It's kind of a really great perspective shot. The other side of it, and something that I would say when it comes to street photography, is lighting is one of the most important things to really consider. And of course, you're playing with natural light for the most part. So dark shadows, light areas are really great to play with. Here I noticed that the Angel Hotel had a lot of really beautiful light just cascading off of it, and I wanted to capture it in the best way possible. I was lucky enough at that point to actually have a bird come into shot at that point, which I did move, which I kind of got the sort of inspiration from Captured for that like little hint there. But in terms of like actually having a really kind of like cohesive image, I think this worked out really well. The original photo was a slightly wider, but what I wanted to do is make sure we kind of like encapsulated on this big empty space up here with those dark clouds, and I think overall the image is really quite well grounded, and this is one of my favourites that I've taken recently. Moving on, this is my favourite photo that I probably took in London when I was trying out the X-M5, because I was really waiting for the right composition. When it comes to street photography, there are a lot of different ways you can compose objects. Framing is a really great kind of way of doing it, but also kind of being patient and waiting for the right moment, in which this photo just kind of came together really quite well for a number of different reasons. For one, what I wanted to do is take out as much of the sky as possible, and what I did was actually use the brush. Let's get a nice red thing there. I actually used the trees to take out the sky as much as possible, but I needed the right shape in order to have the Tower Bridge inside of the image, but without too much blue around the outside. So I looked for the perfect area for that to actually take place, and then used the perfect angle in order to be able to really kind of frame Tower Bridge, which was my main goal. So of course, Tower Bridge kind of falls on the rule of thirds here, so if you cut it down, that's a very rough kind of look, but as you can see, the first part of Tower Bridge kind of falls within the rule of third there, and then these guys come in at the bottom third. Now, the other side of photography is that threes do work really well together, and I was lucky enough to actually have three people sat on the bench there, and overall it come together in a reasonably pleasing image with a little bit of like hecticness in terms of like there's a lot there to kind of view. But when you are coming to a landmark that's been photographed 1,000 times, try thinking a little bit outside of the box. What have you got there? And the other thing is that we actually had amazing light coming in from the sun as it was just about to set. So we had some really good highlights on the people as well, bringing the image all well together. And like I said, when it comes to doing like touring photography, street photography, and if you're taking photos of like landmarks that you know, it's been done 1,000 times. So what can you do to make it better? And with all of these kind of like factors involved, This is actually one of my favourite photos that I took on the trip, and I feel the method and the thought process I put behind it really brought it out together, and that's this photo. Let's go over to another one.
So before that person continues on this video that you're watching, Camera Centre UK do a used section on their website. So if you're looking for the latest and greatest deals possible for used cameras and lenses and lighting and everything else that you're after, and you're probably considering but you haven't yet bought yet, then why don't you go over to www.cameracenteruk.com/used and look at all of the lovely used stuff. And it's an also good idea to tap down below and subscribe. That way then you can find out more information as and when we make it.
What I'm trying to do when I was in London is kind of take photographs in a different way that would otherwise be taken for doing things of famous areas. So trying to think a little bit outside of the box in order to get a photo that looks a little bit different and becomes a little bit more special. So of course you've got the lines here which are kind of pointing in one direction and using everything to kind of match up. What I really liked about this particular shot, and what my aim here, is to kind of use the shard as one of these pointy bits on the actual fence. Again, I'm using a foreground element, so this is nice and blurry right here. And the main point of focus is, of course, the shard. And because I've used the fence in this way, I've cut out all of the kind of like noisy composition in behind all the tourists trying to grab their own photos, and I've really focused in on the thing that I wanted to, and that was the shard there in that image. Again, this is another way for you to think, just when it comes to doing street photography or doing photography when you're out and about, just being a tourist, look to see what's around you, because everybody's going to be trying to get that shot of them pushing over the Tower of Pisa. What can you do that may show off this area, this monument, this structure, this person, this point of interest in a unique and different way? And this image, I feel like, encaptures that quite well. Using a sort of like more minimalist or empty space area at the top. Again, you've got Big Ben, of course, it's not necessarily there. Again, the eyes of the people in the photo, so this dude right here, her kind of like pointing you in a bunch of different directions, but they're kind of telling a narrative. Maybe, you know, he helped her or something like that. These guys are together, you know, there's a story here, or maybe he's talking to the lady here. I mean, the thing, what we see here is coming down to the technique that I applied on the photo of the London bridges. I'm using three distinct characters, so three distinct characters to point out the main kind of like focal points of the actual photo. And again, this kind of works really well in that retrospect. And then, of course, you got Big Ben striking out over the top. And I feel like what works here is because you're kind of expecting to maybe see another face here. You got the face of Big Ben up here, kind of like off-center a little bit. This one's kind of like breaking a lot of the traditional rules, because it's not exactly on the rule of thirds. So it's not exactly on the rule of thirds, neither is it guiding any kind of like leading line or benefiting from anything like that. What it's benefiting more is the weight of the scene down here. So these guys hold a certain weight, you're expecting something here, oh, it's Big Ben, and because it's coming out taller, I feel like that's going to draw your interest a little bit more, and overall I think it works quite well. Again, that was actually taken on the X-M5, and then this was my favourite photo, as well as the London one, of course, the London Bridge one. This was one of my favourite ones. I actually grabbed two photos very similar to each other. It was this one and then another one of a gentleman. Again, using kind of rule of thirds to kind of guide where I wanted her. So she's in the centre, right third of the actual image, and that's worked out quite well. You kind of got like leading lines going off here, and then you got this nice kind of like clear blue sky with a little bit of cloud here. Again, she, unlike me, I'm not necessarily focusing on what she's taking photographs of, which of course was Big Ben. I'm photographing her because there's a narrative there. She is intrigued or interested in something where nobody else seems to be joining her, and the bridge and everything cuts off the image at the right angle, and it all just kind of works out really quite well. Okay, I may not be able to show you the absolute favourite photo I've ever taken today, but what I do want to say, if you like this format in video, then please let me know down below. Perhaps we can get other photographers in to talk about their favourite photos and the methods they've actually employed to actually be able to create them. I think it's kind of cool and a little bit interesting. I don't know. Well, that's really kind of up to you to decide. If you have enjoyed it, then make sure you like, follow and subscribe if you want to see more. Put any comments in down below if you want to, ask me anything. Or if you've got an idea as to kind of another kind of photography genre you want me to go through. Because I have actually done a lot of different kinds of photography. So, anyway, have a good day. And I hope you've enjoyed this perhaps maybe longer video than I was actually originally expecting it to be. Have a good day.